On today's episode, I'm going to take you through Fan Appreciation Night and the final home game of the year. Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened, or based on the season they had, cry because it happened.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Zane Begg, and I'm a Seattle-based journalist covering the Seattle Sonics, Torrent, and Kraken, and welcome to Locked On Kraken. Today, I'm going to tell you why this ownership group is actually a reason for hope. We're going to hear one last time at home from Coach Lane Lambert and the players, but let's talk about Fan Appreciation Night and the 5-3 loss to the Los Angeles Kings. Now, you might be saying, why is Zane wearing a suit and tie? Or if you're listening on audio, why does Zane sound like he's wearing a suit and tie? And the reason is because I am wearing a suit and tie. I got home from Climate Pledge Arena and I was feeling sad. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to record the episode now while it's fresh and I got the emotions going. And you know, when an athlete retires and they don't want to take off their jersey because they know that once they take it off, they won't be able to put it back on again. It's kind of how I feel right now. Once I take this suit off, I will not be putting it on again until the fall. That's actually not true because there's still like a couple home touring games, but we're doing a bit here. But it is a bittersweet feeling. There are no more Kraken home games for several months now, and I love so much the atmosphere and the music and the game operations, and there's so much about going to home Kraken games that I love so much. And the final game of the year is always really bittersweet. It's always a lot of fun as well, but there's a tinge of sadness, and I don't want to go 3 months without going to a home Kraken game. But unfortunately, that's the world we live in because the Kraken, they didn't make the playoffs. And I'm sure that someday when they do make the playoffs again, it will be joyous and wonderful, but we will take the joyousness when we can get it. And this was a joyous atmosphere. This was a full crowd, especially for a Monday night. You can tell because I was not cold, and when the crowd is full, every game is a sellout. They distribute all the tickets, but not everyone shows up. When the arena is full, it is much less cold upstairs in the press bridge, just all that heat. And so when it's like in the middle of winter and they're like in the middle of like a 6-game losing streak, it's freezing. I have to bring like this like warm trench coat, and I'm wearing like a scarf and a hat, and I'm like shivering, and I didn't have to even wear a hat or any extra warm clothing for this because the building was full. And despite the record and them obviously not being in the playoffs, it was a really good mood. It was a really good crowd there. I think everyone was kind of feeling the same way that I do, is like, this is the last one we're going to have for quite a while. And you had Benny Drawbars, the organist, the best organist in the NHL. He's playing Golden Girls, the theme of that. Thank you for being a friend. It's like tugging on my heartstrings. And the game operations crew, I mean, they're doing fan tribute videos. The DJ's side is still mixing up, using different songs and different music to keep things fresh. There's a much higher rate of Blink 182 recently, which I am not mad about. They played Dance With Me at one point, either last year or this season, but stopped. And then we do hear All the Small Things occasionally, but then that was it. And then last couple games, we heard The Rock Show, we heard What's My Age Again, and then tonight they did a fan tribute to First Date. So I'm real excited about that. I want to hear more Blink 182 next season. But there were other things going on than just Blink 182 songs. For example, there was a whole hockey game, and the Kraken, it was a fun game. It was an eventful game. Kraken, they ended up going down 3-0, which is fine because they want to make the improve their lottery odds. And then we're just going to cover some interesting snippets of the game. There was an incident between Jacob Melanson and Sammy Hellenius where they got into a little bit of a tussle there, and maybe it's a fight, maybe it's roughing. They got coincidental or matching roughing penalties. And then when they came out of the box after the 2 minutes, it was 4-on-4, and they come out, and then they immediately dropped the gloves. And this is what it looked like. For our audio listeners, I apologize. There was a lot of punching, and then there was more punching, and then there was punching, and then Jacob Melanson went down the tunnel because he ended up getting cut, and he came back and got stitched up, and he was fine. But we're going to hear from Jacob Melanson about that fight in the next segment. That was one of the things that happened. Now the Kraken, they go down 3-0, and then they come and they make it 3-2. And it's like, oh no, are the Kraken going to come back? And are they going to force overtime and get a point? And they shouldn't be getting a point because they really don't need to be accumulating any standing points with the lottery and then the draft position being what it is. But fortunately, the Kings did score to make it 4-2. And then the Kraken pulled the goalie and they score and make it 4-3. And it's like, oh no, here we go again. Are they now we're back on? Is this team going to force overtime watch? But thankfully, Alex Laferriere ended up scoring an empty net goal. And this was the most interesting goal of the night to me. So even though this was an empty net goal, what happens is that Laferriere, he shoots a puck and it goes off the back of the board, and then he's racing, and Chandler Stevenson is ahead of him to get to the puck, and he just kind of doesn't go that hard. And so then the Kings score the empty net goal. Brandon Montour, who was also on the ice, slams his stick and breaks it on the net. He is just furious. And then Scott from Cheap Seat Sports was the one to point this out. Shout out to him. That when that goal happened, Brandon Montour gave Chandler Stevenson, he was just staring him down, just giving him the death stare. Like, how dare you? Like, what the F was that effort? Because what the F was that effort? I don't know, man. That Chandler Stevenson is really he's an interesting player. You know, everyone seems to have a different opinion on him. Some players really like him. Some people really like him. Some people don't. Some people think that he's somewhere in between. I vacillate. I go back and forth because I see a lot of good things that he does, but then I also see a lot of bad things that he does. And then overall, his impact on the ice, it's not good. And it's like, well, but it's not happening in an obvious way. And so maybe there's something with the models and the analytics. All the analytics will say he's one of the worst players in the league. And it's like, well, that's not necessarily obvious if you're watching, but then you notice the little defensive lapses and the small things that add up. And it feels like having a bunch of subscriptions that you don't know about, and then you look at your bank account, you're like, where did all my money go? This is turning into a Rocket Money ad. I just realized. So, and we're actually going to get one of those in the segment as well. Yeah, we got a tease for a future ad. But this is really what this is. This is Chandler Stevenson is when he's on the ice, the Kraken, they don't shoot quite as much, and their shot quality, they're a little further away from the net, and the other team gets to shoot a little bit more, and they're a little closer to the net, and they're just kind of getting bled slowly. And that is the drain of Chandler Stevenson. It's not happening in an obvious way. all the time. Now there are these low effort plays that are more obvious, but I was never a fan of the contract, and I've been trying to talk myself into it, but it's tough, especially after something like this, where it's like we're reminded that Chandler Stevenson, he's just not it, man. And I hope that they consider a buyout this summer. There's a lot that needs to happen with this roster over the summer, and we will have to talk about that on a future episode. But the Kraken lose, which is just good for them. The Kings then clinch the playoffs in doing so. So the long national nightmare of which team will be the 8th spot in the Western Conference is finally over. So the Kraken played a game, and then a team in that game made the playoffs. So congratulations, we all did it. Afterwards, they had a mass fish yeeting. So you had all the players just came out and they just like threw fish in the stands, and then they announced the awards, the team awards, the Guile Fielder Award and the Pete Muldoon Award for ones voted by the players and the ones voted by the media, and it's for the excellence and perseverance. And Jordan Eberle won both of those. The fan favorite was Philip Grubauer, which I thought was a really interesting choice. I would have guessed Joey Daccord or Jordan Eberle, but Philip Grubauer makes a lot of sense. He's so likable. And it's just so nice to see him have a bounce back year. He has always been one of my very favorite players. I think he's like a top 10, top 15 player for me all time. I have always really, really liked Philip Grubauer, just the way he plays and the way he approaches things, and just what a nice person he is. And so that was really, really cool. The award for most, it was a 3 stars award, which is awarded to the player who got the most stars for home games, was Matty Beniers. And and then the game was over. And the Kraken, they gave the jerseys off their backs to some lucky fans, and that was kind of cool. And then, you do the media availability and you talk to the players, and we're going to hear from the players and the coach in the next segment. But no one wants to leave. Just no one wants to leave, because once you leave, you're not coming back for a few months. And so I hung around and I talked to a bunch of people. I talked to Curtis Crabtree from Q13 for a long time about what to do in the offseason, and we talked about our summer plans. And then I'm leaving, and I'm trying to tiptoe past RJ from Emerald City Hockey, who's doing the post-game live stream. And I don't want to disrupt it. And I got my roller bag with my laptop, and I'm trying to get past him to get to do some recording of my own. And he pulls me in and says, "Hey, join the show." And so I got to do a little cameo on Emerald City Hockey's post-game live, and that was a lot of fun. And it's a lot of fun. I love doing these games. I love hanging out with the people. I love the friends that I've made on the press bridge. And although I will see RJ and Dylan and Darren and other people from Sound of Hockey at various off-season events, it's not a home game, and you're not going to see everybody. And it's always super bittersweet, because on one hand, I am looking forward to having evenings again and not always just being every other day, doing a game and stuff. But at the same time, I also really, really love the grind, and I'm going to miss it. So coming up next, we're going to hear from the coaches and the players and Lane Lambert, and what they had to say. And, I think they also are feeling a little bittersweet. If you've got a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. And that's why Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. This is that classic cotton candy taste you remember, but with a tasty caffeine boost and zero sugar. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. Now, I was looking at the calendar and the ad reads for this, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it because I had not yet tried the Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy, and I was really pleased with how tasty it was. It was really like it didn't have that sort of like bite that is with other 5-Hour Energy flavors where it's like kind of sour, and it was sweet. It tasted better than I was expecting. I was like, oh, this is actually really good. And it's like, well, I can't drink this like just as a drink because, if I drink like a bunch for its deliciousness, then I'm going to explode because it's got all this caffeine. But I did have it before the game. It's a long day. I knew it was going to be a long day. I hadn't gotten a lot of sleep before going to Climate Pledge. And so I just picked one up, and I was really pleasantly surprised. So bring on the sweetness with Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shots, available online now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Workplace chaos. Deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open when the pressure's on and you need the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, skills, experience, and location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the time I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Don't forget to check out the Everyday Club for ad-free episodes and access to a group chat with other listeners of the show. Tap the link in the show notes or go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. So we got to hear from the coaches and the players and the coach. I don't know. I'm really struggling with that one today. And so let's hear from Capo Caco to start, and then we'll work our way to Matty Beniers and Jacob Melanson.
Yeah. We've had some good chemistry with Freddie these last couple of games. I want to get your take on it. We heard from him last game about how it's been going.
Yeah, I like to play with him. I feel we kind of think about the same, like on the ice I kind of already know like where is he and he knows where I am. And like the goalie, like he's on the back door and I can make a play, so I feel good with him.
Seems like recently for you personally, no matter who you're with, you've been clicking pretty well. How have you felt about your game these last couple of weeks at least?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of good games, especially after the break. Had some good games over there, played against good teams, and I think that builds the confidence. And yeah, like I said, like it's been good with Freddie. There was a time with Stevie also, and. Yeah, it's like I said, there's been some good games.
And what was your take on how this game played out tonight?
Yeah, I think we had some good chances. That was a good team we played against, and maybe some bounces, like those first couple goals, breakaways. But that's how it is, and little push in the end, but just not enough. Thank you.
What stands out to you about it? I know that team goal going into the season was to do better at home, but how close do you think you came to accomplishing that, and how much room is there to go?
Honestly, I don't totally know our home record this year. I'll check after, but yeah, I don't think we got to where we wanted to. Obviously, we're not in playoffs, so a little bit disappointing. I think we definitely had the ability to do it. We had put ourselves in a spot to do it after break and just didn't get it done. So, yeah, it's frustrating. So
Tonight's game, you had a bit of late comeback in the third, but I mean, the early goals, a couple of mistakes came back to bite you. It kind of feels like the way things have gone for the last month.
Yeah, just not setting ourselves up for success, like you're saying. You know, it's tough to come back from those 2-3 goal deficits, especially in the third period. So, you know, a couple tough bounces out there over our sticks and ended up in the back of our net. So, yeah, frustrating, but, yeah, frustrating.
Getting to execute on the 6-on-5, at least towards the end, how'd you spot Bobby and just sort of team takes through that play, setting him up there for that goal at the end?
Oh, yeah, he's just in a good spot in the middle. He's, open there, and he's a goal scorer. He finds those areas to get open, and, he's able to put it in the back of the net. So, obviously good on him.
How much better have you gotten to know him in just this short amount of time as a line mate? Just because a play like that, bang, bang, you got to know where each other is.
Yeah, I really like playing with him. I mean, he's a great guy. He's very professional in the way he, goes about every day at the rink and, off days, game days, from what I can see. And he's, a nice guy to be around, good on the bench. And he's obviously a great player. He's, a goal scorer, and he finds those areas to get open, creates it himself. He's got a lot of speed. He's I really, really love his game.
Thanks, man.
One thing to note, because there was just so much in the first segment that couldn't cover it all. There were a couple of goals that came on the breakaway, Quentin Byfield, and they just it just hopped over like a player's stick, and then it just turned into a thing. It was just a bad bounce. Capo Caco did set up Freddie Gaudreau on a really, really nice pass for a goal to make it 3-2. And then with the net empty, Matty Beniers found Bobby McMahon, who scored again. They have to figure out a way to keep him. We'll have to talk about Bobby McMahon later, but Bobby McMahon was set up. But we talked about the earlier fight between Jacob Melanson and Sammy Helenas, and he had this to say about it.
What happened between you and the Helenas there on the other side?
Not much. I just wanted to fire up the crowd here tonight and try to get the guys going. I mean, we had a fight a couple years ago, but one of them wanted some redemption.
And it looked like you guys were communicating there in the penalty box before you went back out. There was kind of no surprise that you ended up having that happen. What was the conversation like leading to that?
Yeah, I don't think I can say what I said in the box. I mean, I talked to him before the game, just seeing what he was up to, and I mean, he kind of jumped me at the start, so I wanted a fair square off, and he gave it to me, so I appreciate that from him.
What was your take on just how this game played out tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good team over there fighting for a playoff spot. I think our game was well. They capitalized on some opportunities that we gave them, but I mean, I think we played a good game, but the bounces just didn't go our way.
And what did you make of, I guess, it's been a tough road here recently, obviously, but the crowd has really stuck with it, I thought, for you guys, and tonight's fan appreciation night. I mean, how much have they meant to you guys down the stretch here?
It's been awesome. I mean, the fans have supported me in my journey up here the whole time, so I can't thank them enough. And they show it every night, whether we're winning or losing. They deserve better and deserve to see us play in the playoffs. So, I mean, I know we're going to come back hungry next year.
Jacob, you've had a chance to see Mike play a bit more down in Coachella and such. How excited are you to kind of see the couple games he's put together here and kind of get his first kind of chance to play, kind of extended minutes up here?
Yeah, I mean, he's an awesome goaltender. I love him to death. He's a great human as well. So, I mean, it's just awesome to see him get that win last night, and he definitely deserves it. Thank you, guys.
Hockey's a weird sport, huh? Where else can you be like, yeah, you know what? This guy punched me in the face, and I'm really grateful for it. I really appreciate him being willing to punch me in the face and for being willing to be punched in the face. And yeah, we talked about it beforehand. Like, what are going on? Like, yeah, you want to punch each other in the face later? Like, yeah, you know what? That sounds fun. Like, yeah, I think that does sound fun. Weird culture, but that's hockey, baby. Lane Lambert I had a hard time reading his mood on this one. I think just because the team was kind of disappointed. It seemed like they're disappointed with the performance and frustrated, like the Brandon Montour thing. But then the crowd and the fans were like, it was really joyous because it was fan appreciation night. And they're like, thank you for the fans. And so I think the fan joy really kind of colored my perception of the game, in that it felt that it was maybe a more positive outcome than what I would have expected from the players and Coach Lambert. But let's hear what Lane Lambert had to say about it.
Coach, what did you make of just how this game played out tonight?
Yeah, I thought, when it was 3-0, it wasn't a 3-0 hockey game. Pretty even hockey game, to be honest with you, all the way through. A couple of bounces over our stick, and Byfield made us pay. Certainly our game management, puck management at times in the second period wasn't great. So, they ended up scoring a goal off of a turnover through the neutral zone. But, I thought we generated some chances, some opportunities. I thought I wasn't unhappy with the way we were playing. I just didn't like the scoreboard, but, we did find a way to battle and make it interesting.
Each of those first two Byfield goals come off of plays where the puck goes right past Ryan Lingren in two different ways. Mm-hmm. He looked really frustrated after that second goal. How do you think he responded after those plays?
Well, you know what? He gives it everything he's got, and I think that over the last little while he's definitely had some, I guess you could call it bad puck luck. A couple of those power play goals a couple games ago that go off his stick and whatnot. But, he'll continue to battle. He'll continue to grind. That's just the way he is. But certainly I do agree with you. I thought there was some frustration on his part.
And Melly said he was trying to just get the team going. I mean, what do you think about him?
Loved it. Yeah, no, need more of that.
Lane, you mentioned the puck management in the second period, but right before Moore's goal to make it 3-0, it seemed like you guys had a few chances. How'd you just assess that sequence kind of right before they made it 3-0?
Yeah, like I say, we had some opportunities. To be, not be down 2-0, put it that way. Then we turned the puck over through the neutral zone. I thought Maddie's line had a rough night. Just inopportune game management, certainly something that is going to be a focus here throughout the summer months.
And what did you make of the empty net goal at the end? It seemed like you guys had three guys in the area, and he's still able to push. How'd you kind of assess that?
I didn't like the goal at all. I don't care how much time's left in the game. I thought there was a lack of effort at some point, and it's unacceptable.
Lane, second start for Nikkei in that. Would you kind of make his outing, and obviously not the same as the other night, but like to see him kind of fight through this one with the pucks, as you mentioned, going the other way on him and everything?
Yeah, well, I thought he played well. He made some big saves for us. You can tell that he can move. He almost stopped the Kempe fourth goal. Nice play by Kopitar, but certainly I thought he played pretty well. He made some big saves for us. Right, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Lane.
So, a mix of I think we played pretty well, and then some frustration. Seems about right. But coming up next, I'm going to tell you why things actually aren't as bad as they seem. And it starts with the ownership. Because the ownership, as we're going to find out, it could be a lot worse. If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. It tracks all your subscriptions in one spot and can help cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money is going, and you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clear picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lowers your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Hey, friends, thank you for making Locked on Kraken part of your daily listening routine. It really does mean a lot to me. I try to put a lot of work into this show to make it good for you, and I really appreciate it that you take the time to listen. One thing I also appreciate is this Kraken ownership. Because it was the last game of the year, home game of the year, the Kraken have 2 more games, have a back-to-back in Vegas and then Colorado. There were a few more people coming down to make a cameo guest appearance, as it were. Allison Ballard, who wrote for Davy Jones' Locker Room last couple years and is now moved on to become a full-time newspaper reporter, which is so cool. Well, she has been doing work for the Associated Press, and she was there for the AP, doing the AP recap, and it was great to see Allison. I also saw the Hockey Night in Punjabi guys coming down from Vancouver. And we were just kind of chatting about the team and where we were at. And, they pointed out this incident that happened with Locked on Canucks co-host Trevor Beggs, where he wrote an article that was critical of Canucks ownership. This is from Awful Announcing. And so this is what it says. Trevor Beggs, who covers the Vancouver Canucks for Daily Hive Vancouver, says that the team revoked his press credential and removed him from a rink during the game after he published a story about a business owned by the team owners that had been named in a U.S. federal indictment. He said he was escorted out of the building and they took his press pass away from him. He also said, I've got to apologize to fans of Locked on Canucks because last night I got my press pass taken away. I don't know if I'm getting it back. We'll see how it goes. I wrote a story yesterday about the Aquilini family, a case they were involved in. Patrick Johnson has also written something similar if you want to check it out in the province. He didn't like it. So in the first intermission, I was removed from the rink and asked to give my press pass back. We redacted the article at Daily Hive, so we'll see where it goes. But that was an interesting experience last night to, mid-game, be ushered out of the building. I talked to a few guys. I think I might be the only reporter who's been kicked out mid-game before. But you know what? It's part of life, man. It happens. It happens in the world of journalism. That's nuts. That is bonkers. I can't believe that. Now, the thing that he wrote, as far as I can tell, as far as I know, there was nothing factually inaccurate about it. The article was that it was essentially a federal labor trafficking / visa fraud case that involves a vineyard owned by the Aquilini family, who also own the Canucks. And they were, it was like unsafe heat conditions, and then there were like all these like underpaid wages, and there were these inappropriate accommodations, and the article also says some workers were allegedly threatened by harm tied to cartel violence if they refused to work. Just like crazy stuff. And so they said, you know what? You're out. Now, this is unsurprising. Sort of unsurprising. It's still pretty extreme. Pulling mid-game is crazy. That is like, whoa. And, they're like, hey, Kraken, the facilities and the organization, they are first class. And they really are. The product on the ice, I get it, isn't very good. And I know compared to Vancouver, their product on the ice has also not been very good. But even when the product on the ice was good, and they had the Quinn Hughes and Thatcher Demko and Pettersson at full strength, and they were like a good team, there were still all these problems with the organization. And then I look at the contrast with the incident that happened in December, where the Kraken was after a game against the Avalanche, and the Kraken had played well, but they blew a lead and they lost, and it was another long losing streak, and the media relations people, they decided that they would only have a team employee ask questions, and they weren't going to take questions from anybody else. So they solicit like, hey, do you have any questions for, our team employee? And then people said, this is the questions. And so they asked 3 questions, and it was done in under a minute. And then they left. And this became a really big deal. This became a national story that, hey, how dare they limit access to the media and limit access to the press and not allow questions. And this is a clown show organization. And if that was their regular MO, yeah, I would agree with that. But what happened that night, before any of the fallout happened, before any of the blowback happened, I got a call from someone in the Kraken organization and they apologized, and they said, hey, we messed up. We shouldn't have done this. And it was done with good intention. They just like, we just want to give Blaine Lambert a break or whatever. But they didn't, it wasn't the right thing to do. And they personally contacted me, and they contacted other people in that room in the media to personally let them know that they messed up and that they were sorry and that this would never happen again. And they have stuck to it. They have been great. They've always been great. It is such a non-toxic environment that the Kraken have created. And it's very open and welcoming. I know that, look, if they don't allow independent media like us at Davy Jones Locker Room and Emerald City Hockey, Sound of Hockey, Come As You Are Hockey, Second City, Emerald City Spectrum, they would just have KJR and the Seattle Times. And yeah, I think that would be about it. So they understand the role of independent media. Now, some places won't. I mean, good luck getting a credential to the New York Rangers. There have been sites that have been writing about the Rangers for 20 years, and they will not give media access. And this team has been really open and good to work with. And they spend so much money. That's the other thing. And that's maybe the most important thing, other than obviously the on-ice product, which is that this team is willing to spend money. These are not the Mariners owners. Whatever problems exist on the hockey side are not a function of the team being unwilling to spend. There's a salary cap, so there's only so much you can do, but they can spend up to the cap if they like. I would prefer if they don't just spend for the sake of spending, because spending up to the cap when your team isn't that good is not actually all that beneficial, especially if you're going to saddle it with long-term contracts. But Climate Pledge Arena is a first-class, super beautiful, expensive $1.15 billion dollar renovation. They also it's just the nicest facilities. They spend on amenities. And I some people complain that we're up in our ivory tower and we talk about the food and stuff. But one thing that the Kraken do is that they give people food, which I thought was normal. I thought it was just a typical thing that, before a game, you have your catered meal, and it's a really nice catered meal. And then, they have snacks, and they have drinks, and they have things available for you throughout the game. And then I went to do a game in Vancouver, and I was like, where's the everything? I felt a little bit like an out of touch billionaire. It's like someone's like, man, I'm really tired, and I've been working hard, and I don't have time to clean the house, and I'm just exhausted. And you're like, why don't you just have your butler do it? Is Gerard not available? Like, I don't understand. That's kind of how I felt. I'm like, well, why don't you just have your catered meal? Like, where is everything? And it's like, nah, you got to pay for like $20 for a thing, and it's like Safeway Chinese food, that kind of quality thing. And I was like, this is fine. It's not great. And then, there was like, if you like took a drink, like a can of soda, it was like $2. And sure. Right. And then, I did a game in Vegas and it was a similar thing. And then, when I talk to people who are coming in from out of town, they're like, oh my God, we are in Camelot. This is amazing. And okay, the concession prices are very high, and I will fully acknowledge that. And as someone who was a season ticket holder the first 2 years, I feel that pain and I understand that. But the point is that the Kraken will spend money, and they will spend money on talent. They'll spend money on, for example, building the best broadcast team in the game and building the best facilities in the game. And their media relations director, he is someone who's won awards in the industry for media relations. They hired him from Dallas, Kyle Shahara. He's a fantastic A+ person to deal with and to work with. And that's how it is with everybody. Everybody that I've worked with, everybody that I've talked with the Kraken is an A+ person to deal with. I don't ever deal with difficult people with that organization. Nobody. And you can say what you want about the fickleness of the hockey operations side, which is all valid. And you have 3 coaches in 3 years, and that's not a good look. And I totally understand that. But it's not Vancouver, and it's not even these other organizations that, they might be winning more now, but long term, the best indication of a good franchise is having good ownership. And a big part of that is an ownership that is willing to spend. And this team is willing to spend. Perhaps, maybe irresponsibly. I wish they hadn't spent so much on Chandler Stevenson or even Brandon Montour. Not because Brandon Montour is a bad player, but he's 30 years old. Signed him to a 7-year deal. And it's like, this is not the time to be making free agent signings because you're not actually a playoff contender. And so, by the time they are a playoff contender, those players will be in their mid-30s and probably not that good because of aging curves. But that's not a function of the team being cheap. This isn't the Mariners. This is not. So when you look at this team and you say, okay, here are the problems, really all the problems happen on the hockey operations side. All the other stuff around the team is really, really positive. And it's really good for long-term success. So Jason Botterill, he has a real interesting summer coming up. He will have to do a lot of work to get this team to where it needs to be. They're currently undergoing a independent audit. And so we'll see what happens out of that. But be hopeful, Kraken fans. Doesn't look great right now. Doesn't maybe look good for the next couple of years. We'll see what happens. Things can change fast. I mean, look at Vancouver. They were like the it team just a couple seasons ago, and now look where they are now. Similarly, the Ducks are in the playoffs, and who saw that coming? So things can happen, but just realize that we have it, I think, a little better than maybe we think we do. And if you look around the league and you look around who owns the other teams and how they operate, we got a real good one with the Kraken. We really do. And I know that doesn't make up for the product on the ice. I know ultimately it is about winning, but it's not all about that. And good ownership in the long term does result in a lot of winning. And I do continue to have faith in this ownership because of that. So Well, that does it for today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Kraken. We will be back tomorrow to talk about the end of season stuff. And I really do mean thank you for tuning in because I need to get this off my chest. So make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Kraken so you get all the latest episodes. You can find us at Davy Jones LR on all social media platforms or at DavyJonesLockerRoom.com, where we do print coverage of the Seattle Torrent and the Seattle Kraken. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Kraken ad-free, plus members-only Discord access, and more. For those of you on video, we send you over to the first server 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure this is one of your 2 daily listens. For Davy Jones Locker Room and Locked On Kraken, I'm Zane Begg, and we will see you tomorrow.